So are you recording this or?
Yeah, but it's I'm not live or anything, so it'll be all edited. Out all the ums and oohs and ahs, and then all
Of which there'll
us.
hopefully be many, yeah.
Yeah, all the curse words you say, all the horrible
Oh, I was hoping to
thing,
leave those
all
in.
the
Okay.
slander. We can leave in like fuck, shit, piss. That's fine. But
Oh, cool, cool, cool.
all the
Nothing
horrendous
worse.
things. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Matt Lighty, and this video I sat down with Daniel, who he'll introduce himself in a second. He's the creator of the PoB Ladder website, which is used to aggregate, track, and do all sorts of fun things with unique collection. And we're going to spend this next half hour or so going over what the website can do, its functions, features, cool little assets, potential hookups with Discord, and things you could plan for the future. As what? Who the fuck is messaging me? But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments below. And that's it. For the sake of brevity, why don't you explain who the hell you are?
Well, I'm Daniel. Been a Path of Exile head for about a decade or so, I think. And I really like solo self-found. So I made this website because I 5 or 10 different spreadsheets, and now I just have one website. So that's kind of where it's coming from. It's coming from a love of the game, and I want to obsess over a collection without the need for Microsoft Excel installed on my computer.
Yes, and we are appreciative for things like this because it is much more effort to use and maintain a Google document, as I know, than it is to do these things. But before I praise you and all that, these sort of websites are not perfect in their form and function, and there are
Indeed.
some things that are perpetually missing. Now, when I asked my fellow plus one team members what to ask you,
Oh
the
dear.
main question came from Easy Trick Shots, and he said, I'm just going to paraphrase, but not sure how to ask this, but this being the third or fourth unique ladder website we have had as a
Yeah.
community, it would be nice to know if this will be sticking around for a while.
Well, yeah.
So
It's kind of
what's the deal
interesting
with that as far as, because these websites tend to come and
yeah.
go, so I'm curious what
I think the last one you did a video on, I only knew about it because you did a video. By the time I found your video, it had
Yep.
gone. So I took that as a kind of benchmark for saying, right, well, why did that one fail? How can we avoid that? And I think you already know the answer is all about the Path of Exile River.
Mm-hmm.
So this website completely ignores the Path of Exile River. So for your listeners, it's basically within one league, every single change and every single stash tab for every single user over time is monitored, and you can get all of that in one big chunk. But it's pretty useless when you want to do something like a ladder where you're just interested in a few users and one stash tab. So I've avoided it because I just don't think it's feasible for a hobby project to process it. Uniques.top has managed it really well, so it's quite remarkable. But from what I'm doing, I couldn't stomach the cost of it or the resources to do it. And I'm really grateful your video was out there, because I think my first point of call would be to go to the river and fail pretty hard and quit. But instead we've got something that works. So it's still using the Path of Exile API, so it is all official and above board. It's just using a different part of it that's more targeted, and hopefully that makes it more maintainable.
Now, one thing that I've always complained about, and I'm not sure if this is resolved with this side of the process, is these websites that kind of find and aggregate the uniques you have and mark it as completed or acquired haven't been able to pull data from characters. So if I'm wearing an item, it hasn't been able to figure out that I have owned this because I'm wearing the one copy versus having the one copy in the stash. Is that still the case with this, or is this somehow
So
no?
I've kind of got a middle ground right now. There is a way to sort that, I believe. What I've done right now is if you put the item in your stash and it gets indexed, so you can see if you click into one of the profiles that doesn't have the exclamation mark, like the very top one, or yeah, you can see updated 3 hours ago. So the idea would be you'd take a unique off your character, put it in your stash, and wait until that timestamp below the profile picture says updated a minute ago. And then it sort of sticks in your profile forevermore.
So once it adds the unique, it's not detracting it ever. You're saying
that's correct. Yeah.
okay?
You've Bagsied it. It's yours. Yeah.
Got it.
But what it can do in a future iteration is, it looks like the Path of Exile API has access to individual characters, and I've requested access to that. So we can potentially go to linked characters in the league and just index them as well. You won't even have to bother with this shuffling. So that's TBC.
Yeah.
TBC.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if you, for those who are whatever watching, listening, if you pull a Mage Blood and you're raring to use it, but you want it to be shown in your tracking, you just pop it on, whatever, log off for an hour or two, and then check the website. And as long as it's updated with it active, once it's locked in, you're locked in forever.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Nice. That is a happy middle ground.
I think so.
So what else is, so this website tracks the ladders of the different leagues. So if you're tracking like certain hardcore, softcore, you could include retired items or disclude them to your liking. It has a stat section for the rarest uniques. Is this by just acquisition of players? So like who has the least of these?
So you can see to the right of the percentage, it's saying 2 of the 144 players have that within Solo Self-Found Standard.
If I was to be asked what are the rarest 5, these are the 5 I would name also. So that does line up with our own personal studies.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's also funny because a lot of the unique acquisition in Path of Exile isn't necessarily gated by the difficulty of the content, or even the difficulty of like running it, or actually the percentage chance of it dropping. It's always rate of access, which is a very goofy thing in Path of Exile. And there's often workarounds with that. So 10 of the 144 people have Strangle Gasps. I'm curious how many Strangle Gasps were acquired from Uberblight versus from the Choking Guilt Divination card, which is the workaround to get that.
I'm certainly saving up for mine, yeah.
Most people I know have just had the card and gambled it to 6, because actually getting the card itself is incredibly difficult. It's a disgustingly rare drop off of Infinite Hunger, which in itself is kind of annoying to farm, because it's the fat man from the blue side. So to farm Infinite Hunger is typically not something you want to do. And it's a very, very rare drop off of that. I didn't get one card in 220 Infinite Hungers I ran.
Oh, jeez.
But Strangle Gasp itself is 1 in roughly 100 off of an Uber Blight, which is not good in itself. So yeah, things like Rational Doctrine for Cortex, or Stasis Prison for, Uber, what's called Legion. So these are quite rare items, if that makes sense.
For sure. I don't know if it's worth also mentioning the one downside for the method I've chosen. We maybe have to go back a step. Is if you go back to the ladder page, you can see we've got these exclamation marks beside people's profiles. So the one downside of not using the river is I don't have access to public stashes. So what I have to do is effectively harvest everyone's. Basically, each individual user on this table has to share their credentials with me in a completely normal and secure way. It's not like a username and password. It's just like a wee authentication. So actually, we could do it on yours if you want. If you go up to the account option in the top right and click login. Sure. Because I don't think you're logged in yet. All it does, it pops you off to Path of Exile page. And if you were to fill this in and sign it in, I'd then get the temporary access to your public stashes for 28 days. So the bad side of this is every 28 days, you have to refresh it. I think I can extend it out to 90 just without further authorization, but then eventually you have to come in again. So,
and if I were to log into Path, it should update this then.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And if it's not, it'll do it as the next index. So you can see right now in the standard league, loads and loads of exclamation marks. But if you switch into the temporary league like SSF Crucible, we've got a much better representation, because I think basically I launched this site at a point when most people had shut down for the league. So what I'm hoping is ahead of the next league, we can get people pre-logged in, pre-registered, get their accounts logged in and verified, and then I can start monitoring as we go.
Makes sense. Yeah.
The other downside of this method, you can maybe tell because the fact we've only got 3 leagues here for all the SSF ones, it's about throughput. So I think Path of Exile's API is very archaic. I can make one call every 10 seconds, and one call represents one stash tab within your unique stash. So every single one, like the sword tab is one call, the axe tab is one call. So it's like 20 odd calls to get your uniques. It takes about 3-4 minutes to update a single profile in a single league. So we're very much bottlenecked by that. But,
yeah.
That's my next port of call to try and fix.
And is there any avenues as a third party, we'll say, peripheral or asset creator for the game to just contact them? Like, how has your relationship been with trying to get in contact with them or that sort of stuff for these sort of requests?
I'm 100% happy for you to ask. I think it's in the past, I signed up for the API access like a year ago and it was pretty much instantaneous. But more recently, I think with Exile they've been a bit diverted. So yeah. I haven't pushed it and said, can we get a higher rate? And there's no documentation about how to boost the rate so you can do more than 1 per 10 seconds. There must be a way of doing it. I'm sure other people will have done it. So I'll find some way of upping it. But
yeah, I'm sure also as Path of Exile 2 in the year 2040 comes out, we'll have a new system. I'm praying that they updated some of their old hardware because it seems like it really hasn't been changed for a solid 12 years. So you get on the top tab, you get a couple options: ladder, profile, uniques. I see there's a Gwenin selector. Does this allow us to select things and make a Gwenin regex from it? Is this output
exactly.
to like
so
it? Yeah, interesting.
There's like so if you go up above this Gwenin thing to the very first filter, I think it is uniques. Is there a status? All right, so this is just the generic uniques. You're not looking at a user's specific unique. So if you go back to the ladder a second, and then click through on, say, scroll down to find your profile, wherever you are. You number 13 or so?
For standard, yeah.
Yeah.
I got to take some things off so I can erase my profile on my ladder.
If you click on that big 96% under your uniques up top, So now it says up top in the header, uniques for Lighty second. Yes, it's mocking you. It's mocking you.
It's a hate crime.
So now you've got an extra filter called display in the top left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
missing.
Now if you look at or even the next one below it, gamblable. So
these are interesting.
Yeah, and then you can click the Gwenin selector, and it
Very
keeps you right.
Sexy.
You're not trying to find things you can't actually find. So.
Very sexy. I didn't even think you're doing things I haven't thought of before. Wow.
Well, I have a series of spreadsheets, as I've alluded to, and I'm trying to get rid of all of them, and this was one of them. So I was like, right, can't be bothered with that one. Yep. Let's get some automated Gwenin strings going. Keep it simple with pictures.
This is very depressing, though, to see, and not a whole lot of Gwenining to do here, but...
No.
That's very cool. So if we go to missing, for example, and say I clicked on... is there any way to see... I guess it just goes to the hypes. These are all hyperlinks in their names. And it'll basically, there's no point to really put rate of acquisition on here because it's so much simpler. I'm just talking for you, but it's so much simpler to link it to PoE DB where that acquisition method may change. And that'll be like their problem to have in a way. So we could check it from, can be obtained for whatever.
Yeah, you've kind of stumbled onto phase 2. So my idea, I think I'm catering to a couple of different audiences for this. I've got like the old salty pros like yourself and I, who's kind of got lots of this stuff in our heads. But the eventual goal I want is for people who are just starting the game fresh to be able to use the site to get to this kind of content. So I use all the information on PoEDB in the background. So I've indexed all the different div cards for all these uniques, and we've had some suggestions about how we can expose it. So I'd like a PoB Ladder to eventually be like a guide to say, okay, like you were suggesting, I don't have this, how do I get this? Yeah, kind of thing. It's not there yet, but I think in the future it'll get there. Right now I'm just doing some cool stuff to try and make it look fun.
And that could be like as simple as like a little drop down arrow or something underneath Actum that just, or whatever, it just shows, exactly this information, maybe presented nicer, and then just right there. Cool.
One of the suggestions we had from a user, which was really cool, is there are hover texts on these things when you hover over them.
Yeah.
Just below the flavor text, I can put in the divination cards, just list them out. So then it'd be quite easy. Yeah, kind of fun. Yeah.
I feel like there's always like tangential steps though, because then it's gonna be like, oh, okay, so what else we could do? We could also put it could link to PoE Ninja and show all active builds using this item, and then I could maybe find a build to use my active with.
Well, my tangential one is because I'm indexing people's stashes. I can index the divination card stash tab if they have it, and I can display how many they have.
Their own personal quantity. Nice.
Yeah, I think that'd be quite fun.
Yeah. Now, I think the real gambler in me would also like to see. So, say we found Where is it here? I don't have one. Strangle gasp. There we go. So say we had strangle gasp. We hover it and says you have 2 out of 6 divination cards. You should add on the bottom. You're only 2 gambles away from getting a 6 out of 6. Really bait people into try to gamble these things away with harvest or something.
Love it.
Yeah,
I want to be loved by the community, not hated.
No, well, you know, it's you're just the tool. It's just
It's true. It's true. I'm the enabler. Yeah,
you are.
A little bit more copium for you there. Yeah.
Listen, they made the game. We're just operating inside of it. All right, it's not our fault.
That's true.
Plausible deniability. Yeah, definitely very cool though. I do like. Well, aside from the act of missing, everything here looks very nice. It is funny though. At this point in the game, there's so many. Oh, it doesn't show contracts. That's interesting.
So I knew why that is. So initially, I was taking data from the public site, and your stash tab didn't have the tick to say share my contracts. So I think if you hop onto your profile in PoE and look at your stash, you need to tick contracts. It's not an issue anymore because we're using the API. So
we'll resolve that anyway. If I click on profile, it's just going to default to my profile, which shows if I'm logged in. If I'm not logged in, it'll prompt me to log in. I assume it'll say, "Would you like to log in?"
So you can look at anyone's profile. You can see now you are logged in.
We'll see what happens.
So you can log out. So you can still look at your profile. You can still look at everyone else's. They're all public. The only difference is when you're logged in, the account menu has an option to take you to your profile straight away. So you don't have to go via the ladder.
What does the help button do? Getting started. Love these little arrows. They're great. I don't think they're all the same. Are they all the same size even?
Just about.
Okay, good.
I balled it. Yeah, they're not perfect.
It's an approximation.
That's it. Yeah, just triggering half the audience right now. Yeah.
FAQ. How do I add my account? How can I change my profile? What are the tiers? This is a good question. Tier grouping is a very interesting thing because it's something that's subject to change on a whim every league.
It is.
That isn't always public. Well, I should say it's seldom public knowledge until it's almost too late. But it's is there any way to like you're pulling the information probably from what the last time that it was a large parse of what was
so there's a link in that section to the Pathvector wiki. So we've got a really active contributor on our Discord group called Nayati, and they've done a really good job of updating this. So if you scroll down a bit, it's by league. It shows you the tiers of each item. I think it's also there's other groups who are updating this actively. So all I'm doing is pulling the latest number because at the start of the project I didn't know the tiers either. I knew a few of the T0s. That was about it. So one of the things I wanted to do for new players was to say, right, people are always talking about this on like the Reddit about, oh, it's a T1, you need to do this and that. It's a T2, you can get it this way. I wanted to bring it in. And certainly when you're looking at the uniques on your profile on the ladder, it says in the bottom right, T0, T1. It means as well, if you're doing the Gwen and Gamble, you can target like the T5s because you've got a better chance of getting them, things like that. So if you click through to T0 or T1, see just in the bottom right, it's got the little
yellow T1. Tier 1.
Yeah, so when it's all mixed together, you can see.
And there's a lot of items that people don't realize are of a very rare tier. And a lot of these are pretty newer, like Nycta's Lantern wasn't tier 1 until just recently. And a funny thing that people that are newer players to Path that don't necessarily understand, because it's kind of counter logic, is rarity does not equal power in Path of Exile for a lot of these items. A lot of these items are fucking garbage, but they're still tier 1 or tier 0. Some of them are almost unusable.
Devotion was the chase.
Yeah. And you have things like Veranustra, which is borderline unusable at the moment. But still there. But Vol's Devotion, this was one of the best items in the game at one point.
Yeah. I remember going for 14x. Those are the days. But I think this league especially, all the T0s changed, and there's some ones in there that surprised me. Like, if you can switch into them, the Claw, what's it called?
Bloodseeker?
Sanguis.
Oh, Sanguis, yeah.
Oh, the Bloodseeker as well, because they basically doubled all the stats on them. So I think loads of people have them in standard because they got the older versions, but they don't have the new hyped version. So.
And even the new ones aren't that good, unfortunately.
No. That's a tragedy.
Most of these upgrade items really were not remotely usable compared to the tier of like value they're at. Also, I'm near positive that there's tier differentials within tier 0. Like the odds of getting, I don't think it's as simple as hitting tier 0 and then it's just a 1 in 14 or 1 in 13 to hit a headhunter. I think it's much more rare than that. Like there's weighting amongst that even, which begs the question: why even have a tier system if there's weighting amongst it? But yeah, it is what it is. But at least you know what's what roughly. There's some fun ways to get things. Like I don't even know if it lists it here for Reefbane. If we have to go.
We had this discussion this about using
Ancient Orb,
one of the orbs, Ancient Orbs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering that because you can get div cards to get the other version of it, and then you can turn it into this, can you? Yeah. I've learned so much just from the guys on the Discord. It's cool.
Yeah, Song of the Sirens div cards and Ancient Orb equals Reefbane. Save yourself the headache.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun ways to get certain uniques and a lot of goofy ones. Yeah. It also helps to, honestly, like, Ancient Orbing in general is terrible for things like Headhunter and Mageblood. For certain items that, there aren't many, like, 2x4 hammers, for example. So hitting a Curry isn't as bad retroactively compared to, even if post-change. You mentioned about the contract thing in the stash. How would I go about that? Say I'm a person. Cleanup is in progress. Never mind. We'll never get to see.
So for the new version site, it doesn't matter. But if you wanted to fix it, if you go into your Path of Exile profile, so devoid of this site, if you can log onto the main Path of Exile site, and then go to your profile, that one, and then is it stashes or something? Stash showcase on the far right below the trade, and then you just need to tick contract and update,
wow.
And there you go. You're now got 5 or 6 more contracts to brag about.
Why wasn't that updated? I don't know.
I think it's because you shared it before contracts were added to the game. I had it where maps was unticked on mine as well. So
there you go. All right. So in time, this will update and add 5 more to this number.
Yeah. So I think if every user that's currently registered was to log in, it would take about 12 hours to do a full refresh cycle. I think right now it's maybe 3 or 4 hours. So. Oh, you've lost the little exclamation mark beside your account. So I presume
I have lost that.
So if you click through again, you'll maybe see an updated timestamp on it.
Oh, there's a top button. Look at that. I don't have to scroll.
Yeah, that's from your last video. Yeah, I could see how much you loved it.
The top button's good.
Okay, so it's not quite done the update yet, but it's worked out. You're logged in at least, so good. That's something. Yeah.
Progress has been made.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do right now is introduce some sort of fun bits and bobs ahead of the next league. So I mentioned we've got a Discord. One thing I've got going is every time anyone drops a T0 or an Uber unique, you get a wee notification in the Discord with a wee ping up showing the stats of it, and people can react to it and have a bit of fun.
Nice. And what is the Discord exactly you're referring? Is it PoB Ladder's Discord server? Just that?
That's the one, yeah. I think you're already a member. With this one, it was just a sort of temporary way of registering people before I had a way of logging in. So I don't know if this will be the long-term thing. If we can have a home in your shelter, that might be the way forward.
My shelter is full of homeless people, so it's not the safest place.
It'd be ideal. You go into the League Drops text channel, second one down. So that's the kind of thing that happens. We got RN Jesus announcing it when someone drops a T0.
Oh, nice.
Some of them are some of them a bit more interesting than others. So we're trying to tweak it so that we have all the great drops.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
so how does this exactly know when someone it pulls when they've added it to their list?
Exactly. So you can see there's a timestamp just beneath the image there. Once the index happens, it goes onto the site and then it'll check and say, okay, you've got something new. And if it's a T0 or Uber, it'll come into here. And for next league, going to see how it goes. It might get a bit annoying, but I'm going to also put a notification for the first person to find any particular unique goes in here. I might turn off the T5s and T4s because it might get a bit spammy. But
no, I'm just saying what I would like to have. I don't know if it's possible, but is there a way, instead of having, maybe I just misinterpreted what you said also, which is possible, but instead of having this in a dedicated server, is there a way to make this just an addable bot or widget to any server that just outports its information?
Oh, sure, yeah. So it's just a webhook. It's not even a bot. So
okay.
If you set up a URL
say we're in
a thread.
So we're in my server, right? And we're in the Path of Exile channel. And then we just have it so we have your shit added to here, and someone gets it and it outputs the information to this channel. That's like a thing in the future that could happen.
I could do that for you in 5-10 minutes, not an issue. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would be extra cool to have, just so that way anybody can just, who has a Discord
That's
server.
what I'm thinking, yeah. Because the Discord I've got is teeny tiny, and I think you've already got the audience. So if you're game for it, we can try it out in a channel and see if it's something people like. Or
I'm definitely down to be the dummy for this if you'd like to use me.
Sweet.
Yeah. Sweet. And there's a bunch of D-gens in here that I'm sure will enjoy it.
We've got a few of them I recognize. Froxy there.
Yeah. He's a real piece of shit. Yeah. My favorite channel in here.
Nothing but personable in my Discord. So.
I'm sure he's very nice, but we have a channel that just this is like the dump heap. I have it output every single PoE Reddit post of all time. It just gets dumped in here, and it's just a cesspool of people's ideas because it's just every single garbage post in Reddit. And sometimes I look through here, and it's really, really bad. But yeah, I'd love to add that to the mix. It'd be cool to have that just popping up because I think if we added, especially if there's a way to set it so it only shows tier 1 or tier 0s, that would be really cool for sure. I could even see a scenario where people will be like seeing it pop up in Trade League and being like, "Oh shit, he got this. Maybe I'll buy it from him or something." Or maybe I'll scam him for it. Who knows what'll happen? Awesome.
So, got lots of cool things like that. The other one I want to do is I'm halfway through it now. I want to grade everyone's uniques. I'm not sure if this will cause consternation or not, but I want to know who's got the best Venter's Gamble. You know?
Oh, like roll tiers. Yeah.
So I've got our draft report sitting. I haven't quite worked out some of the mods because they're a bit cheeky as to what is good and what is bad and how to weight it. But it's quite cool. I want to like get beside everyone's unique. This is an A grade version. This is an F grade version. You've got this double corrupt, perfectly rolled one that's S tier. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of new ways to invigorate people like yourselves to carry on collecting and stay addicted to the game. Because I imagine you're at the like end phase grind where it's like what?
Yeah.
Lucky drop a month or two. You know, it's
yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, aside from everything I'm missing, I could spend. You know, I could grind 100 Exarchs in a couple weeks or whatever for Annihilation's approach, and then just never get it. And it's like, cool, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Not much more to feel about that. And honestly, there's even worse things like trying to get like Faith Guard, which drops from generic maps that have expedition content and killing expedition mobs. Is like such a fucking snooze fest.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I'm still missing like 2 base game uniques, so it's not too bad. At least there's like hope that something could drop on the way. But
was that the Anathema? Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much. There's Anathema and there's like a fucking the Squire, and that's pretty much it. I've never got a Squire before, so that could just drop anywhere. So once I get a Squire, I guarantee my joy of doing just generic content will plummet once more. Like Stasis Prison is just the opposite of fun to grind out.
I'm just thinking I'll never get that. I've written that one off. I've written off Spore Guard as well. I'm amazed at people who can get Spore Guard.
Yeah, well, you know, it's also hard to say whether this content, you know, will be updated or. And I assume when Path 2 comes out, I think there's going to be a progressive culling of league content as we get up to Path 2, and like a crunching. They're going to combine a lot of leagues and mechanics. Because I imagine when Path 2 hits, they're just going to add probably like 100 uniques across different quest rewards and whatever. So
makes sense.
There should be a lot of things, but yeah.
The new keys, I forgot what it's called. Is it Void Forge, Void Born, or something?
Yeah.
I've got quite a few things I was never thinking to get off those. So maybe
some
nice.
Every time they add an item to it, every time they do one of those patches where they add a bunch of items, they get rarer and rarer because people keep adding more rare things, which is overall reducing the drop rate of the item itself. So.
Sure.
Now it's like the first week it came out, I had like 7 or 8 Voidborn keys, and then the following month I think I had 1. So it's just keeps getting more rare. The same. Yeah.
There's one other feature that's quite cool. We probably won't see it on your account, but if you go into the ladder, if you maybe find there's a little search box above the users there. If you type in my username, which is Half, you just do Half, HALF. That'll probably find it.
HALF. Yep.
Yeah, if you click into me and my uniques, you can do the percentage bar. Yeah, just do the 86%. And then if you switch it into the missing ones for this in the display. So what I've done, if you scroll down a smidgy bit, yes, you see these little pink icons that are appearing.
Oh, yeah.
For some of them. What that means is I've found it in the temporary league, SSF Crucible. So one of the guys said, hey, it'd be really cool to know when the merge comes, which uniques I'll get. So it's kind of fun. And you can see, so I haven't made it filterable yet, but I think I've got about 30 or so that I found this league for the first time. Yeah. So it's nice seeing the kind of progression. And for the guys who are just starting, I think it's quite useful.
For sure. Yeah. I think I have this on all of the 3 Crucible uniques, and that's it. That's the only things I have it on. That's cool, though.
Oh, you're doing better than me. I didn't get the staff. Yeah.
I got everything within the first week, and I stopped playing Crucible. That was that.
I remember seeing your video of your pain not getting the staff in Sanctum.
Yeah. Did a lot of Sanctums.
Staff either. Yeah.
That was a bummer. Well, maybe we'll get it someday in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully not as rare as like Hate Forge or something, because that is an abysmal grind as well.
Yeah, I've written that one off. That's not going to be mine. If I get a Gruthcool's flight, that'll do me.
Sure.
What are they called? No. Garakan's flight, sorry.
Garakans are good, near the boots, yeah.
Yeah, is it like a dex stacking thing or something?
It is basically required for any dex build to have any amount of life on it, yeah. It gives you an atrocious amount of life. Yep. You're missing some acquirable ones. You're still missing some in presences. Those are
this Indigon. Oh my god! I've done so many runs. There's just everyone gets like 5 of them in a league. I'm like, no.
Sure.
And the one that's mocking me the most is the T4 Talisman. What's it called? Eyes of the Great Wolf.
Oh, that's a rare one. Yeah.
I was speaking to one of the guys of the Discord, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I dropped 4 of them this league." It's like, come on, man.
I've actually never dropped one aside from the only one I've ever dropped in Heist League. I tried to get them from div cards. I've only ever dropped one of these things.
It's the only time I've gambled div cards and I lost half of them, and that's
it is a big set. It's a 16 card set.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Yeah. I thought I'd be safe, but no.
No one's safe from the gambling.
Nope.
We all have our high highs and low lows. That's the fun of it.
For sure. But I think that's pretty much all the features we've got going.
Nice.
Every couple of days I'll add something new. Right now, it's kind of fun.
Good.
It'll probably taper off a bit because I want to play the next league. But
that's fair. You got a solid what? It's 28th now. I think the new is going to come out probably the 18th, I imagine. So you got a couple weeks.
I think so.
I'm sure from this video you'll get some comments. Well, anyone who's watching, leave comments below about what you would like to see added or tweaked, or what you enjoy about this website, and things you'd like to see in the future. Whatever we can be done. Like, I'm very excited for the Discord thing. That to me is like very exciting. Any sort of webhook to add fun to the Discord setting is very cool.
We'll catch up with that afterwards.
That's a big
I remember one more little Easter egg functionality I forgot about. You hover over like the Hate Forge for the top guy there.
Yeah.
And you hold down the control key.
Holding control. Whoa!
There you go. Did you see what happened?
Ranges? Oh, it showed the ranges.
Yeah.
Oh.
So if you've been indexed, so I don't think your account will do it yet, but the ones that don't have the exclamation mark, you can get the ranges, and this should work anytime you hover over unique. It doesn't have to be on this page.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's just, for example, I could see that his stasis prison index. Then if I hover over this one and hold it, it doesn't work because he hasn't been indexed.
Yeah, not logged in. Yeah.
Nice.
So it works better for some things than others. So the ones that have kind of variable stats, I'm thinking like the Precursor's Emblems, where you get like random stats out of a pool of them. It doesn't look as pretty when you hold down control, but it still works. So.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So it's cheeky little addition. Things like Echo Forge have a huge range. It looks like no one has one showing that's not exclamationed out. Oh,
standard's is a bit of a dearth, and if you go down to the bottom of standard, all the noobs, they're all logged in because they're keen in. They've still got the fire in their belly to collect.
God bless. Bunch of fucking noobs.
Oh, there's a guy 85 mocking you with his Squire. What's that about? Jeez.
I don't know. Probably a hacker, if I had to guess.
Oh, he's got Faith Guard as well and a Mage Blood. Look
what a real piece of shit. No, it's funny because people always, and I guess I get where it's coming from. They're always like, "Oh man, Lighty, like sorry, I got Stasis Prison in my first run," and it's like I can't even imagine feeling bad about someone else getting lucky in Path. It's like, it's never been even a thought that crossed my mind that someone else's success has somehow been to my detriment. It's like, I hope everyone gets their first thing on their first try. It's like,
well, with the exception of those guys who post on Reddit saying, "I've been playing for 3 days and I dropped this. Is it any good?" And it's like a mirror of Calandra, and you're like,
nah, well, honestly, it's funny you should mention it because everyone I know who plays Trade League, this might be relatable to somebody. If you ever get a mirror in your first week in Trade League, 9 times out of 10, that's going to ruin the league for you, realistically, because you're going to have such a forced sense of progression. That's going to honestly take away a lot of the meaningful progress you typically enjoy in an account, and you're just going to be sitting there with your dick in your hand and 8 million, divine orbs, and like I don't even know what to do anymore. There's nothing to buy, nothing's out yet. My character's done. I could purchase everything. It's like, what's the point, kind of. So there is a bit of a curse in getting a blessed drop super early on to that magnitude, which does happen to people. I've heard it meant almost every league. Someone I know is like, man, I got like an Amir to drop in the second day. And it's like, now what? It's like, I don't even know I can't sell it. Yeah. I now have to sit on until it's worth over 200 divines. It's like, I'm fucked. It's like, yeah, I get it. Suffering from success.
My pain is all those drops that I need in my SSF account. I dropped them years ago in my standard trade account. But what the hell, man?
We did a charity event with Slippery Jim for the Able Gamers Foundation, and our group of 4 people got a drop that I was missing from a reliquary key, and I was like, "You saw." We pulled the Apex Supremacy Shield, which is the only incursion item I'm ever missing. And I was like, man, of all the items for me to open up, that's a real bummer. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. There's a lot of cool shit here. I look forward to all the updates. If anyone has any questions, definitely ask them in the comments below, and we'll hopefully see it happen. ExileCon's happening in a few hours here, so maybe we'll get some new info, new news that could be somehow implemented or added to this ladder. At least we'll just get to see new shit to acquire in the next league to come. Anything else you want to say?
No, I think I'm good. Thanks so much for your time. It's been great.
Of course. Awesome. That's it. We're free.